crypto. Lincoln Wamae, founder of Linccell technology, thanks to the internet, is a self-taught engineer who makes electric wheelchairs from recycled parts for the disabled.
I deal with mobility equipment for people living with disabilities. Um, I still have a line that deals with electric scooters for normal people, daily commuters. So mainly we deal with electric mobility for people with disability and mainly for daily commuters, people who commute daily to work because they save a lot of time from getting stuck in traffic. I was raised in a very humble background. Uh, I really wanted to do mechatronic when I completed my Form 4 levels, but I never managed to do that. I'm a Form 3 dropout. That was back in 2008. But that never stopped me from achieving and fulfilling my dreams. I had to figure out ways to fulfill them and try to make myself an engineer. And I would say everything I do till today, I've learned through internet, following the right channels, and I would say God, it's God-given talent.
Having made the first prototype in 2016, Lincoln's motivation was as a result of the large number of persons with disabilities he noticed, especially in Nairobi.
I was raised in Nanyuki, Laikipia County. It's not a big town. When I was in Nanyuki, I never saw more than, I would say, in the highest number I've seen of people with disability at once was maybe 5. So in 2014 when I came to Nairobi, I was very shocked. That was okay. I had come to Nairobi on several times before then, but this when I moved to Nairobi, I saw a lot of people with disabilities at one point. That was on a rainy season, and it was on rush hour when people wanted to go home. It was very challenging for them because no matatu could accept them in the matatus because you have to carry them, board them into a matatu, and again they have a wheelchair that you need to. Some wheelchairs are not even foldable, so it's like for everyone one person with disability, it's like you have to carry them to the matatu. Again, you have to carry the wheelchair to the rooftop of the matatu so that you can be able to take them home. So I saw that people with disability were being neglected by our drivers, our conductors, as in public means were really neglecting them. And I thought of how I can come up with a solution. It was tough for me to think of what to do, but I had to come, before I'm someone who's been bringing solutions for the problem that I see. So I figured out a way of helping and coming up with a solution. And the only thing I could have done or I could do at that point was to design a wheelchair. Okay, that time it was not a wheelchair. To design something that can ease the mode of transport for them. A vehicle that can carry them from home to workplace and take them back home in the evening. It was challenging because I've been a green champion. I love electric mobility because I don't like fuel. So one thing, I had to design a vehicle that must be powered by batteries. Secondly, I'm a good champion of recycling. I love using second-hand things. Like I had to get second-hand motors, second-hand batteries from laptops. So it was very challenging for me to collect all the materials for me to build the prototype. It took me 2 years to do that. The first year was to collect the materials. The second year was to build. So from 2014, I completed my first wheelchair in 2016. It was very successful. People who needed it really accepted it, and I received a lot of feedback from the society, positive feedback, and that was how I started building wheelchairs. A prototype is the original version of what you are building. The first wheelchair I built, it was a testing version. I'm still keeping it as original as it was the first day. So right now it's I think this is the 5th year. It has been running for the last 5 years.
He explains the process of making the wheelchairs.
Okay, I always make sure that what I build has at least 50% recycled materials. I've been building electric wheelchairs and electric scooters, and I've never imported a battery, not once. We have a lot of electronic waste locally. So everything I build, like the batteries, I've been sourcing them locally. So first of all, you have to get to source batteries. You have to get a good supply for batteries, because batteries are needed in bulk. Secondly, you have to get the correct electronics. We have motors, we have speed controllers, accelerators. So at least now we have good channels for good suppliers, and within a day we can even build 2 wheelchairs. Within 5 hours I'm able to complete one wheelchair. I've never consulted anyone on designing. I'm a designer and I'm a maker. So, and by the this, okay, I didn't know that there was a difference between what I do. Mostly people design in a computer, a model in a computer, then they make a prototype. Unfortunately for me, I design it in my mind and I build it. Then I draw it in a computer. That's how I operate. Mine is quite the opposite of, yeah. Mine is the other way. I design it in my mind, build it with my hands, and then draw it for in order for me to keep records.
Though many youth indulge in wayward behaviors, Lincoln is lucky to have escaped the trap. The more reason he offers employment to his fellow youth.
Talking of drugs and things that the youth are doing nowadays, if I didn't have a vision and a focus, I think up to now I would be using drugs. But since I was focused and I had something I wanted to do to fulfill in future, I started to get the resources that I needed. First of all, I wanted a computer. It was very hard for me to get one, and I think most people, or most of the youth in Kenya, they are doing things that are not building the nation because they lack resources. For me, I wanted a computer to be able to learn online, to get online. Unfortunately, to get one was very hard, but I got one using not good ways, but at least I achieved to get one. I used that computer to educate myself, to turn myself from a useless person to a useful person in the society. Actually, my first project I did was in 2010. From 2008, I did my first project in 2010. I had a project and a vision of getting out of Kenya. So what I did, I started designing a drone that could carry me and take me to a place away from Kenya, but not in Kenya. Unfortunately, that project was way expensive for me. So, talking of the drugs, I think some youth are using drugs because they lack resources, of which that is not a solution. You have to be focused and think of a way you can survive and make make something to help the society. Some youth, most of the youth, or some youth have very good ideas. The problem is lacking exposure, support from the government, and resources. Because you can have a good idea, like in my case, I had very good ideas on building a wheelchair, and still I have more ideas, but I lack enough resources to fulfill them. So I know they are still, and I have people who I've been working with who have good ideas. In fact, I have people who've been coming to my workshop and doing their own projects, not related to my project, because they have very good ideas, but they don't have the resources to fulfill their dreams. So I think we lack, no, I think, I'm very sure we lack resources, exposure, and support from the government. My vision has been creating employment and creating employment and bringing mobility solution for all. That includes the disability and people who can walk, because I build scooters and wheelchairs. So employment has been my key thing, employing the youth, because I understand, there was a time I was looking for employment. It was very challenging. So it feels nice when I employ youth and train them to be useful people, because in my company, uh, I don't like employing people fully, because I like training people to be important people in the society, so that they can do something impactful to the society.
The fact that he uses electronic waste does not exempt him from challenges.
Yeah, we have a lot of challenges. Like right now, people are getting to recycling batteries. So now the batteries are not, we are not getting enough batteries. That is the main challenge. Our wheelchairs or vehicles are powered by batteries. So if you don't get batteries, they won't move. So we have that challenge of batteries. I understand we have a lot of institutions where they have a lot of batteries, but they don't know where to take them. I can, because I've been recycling. I'll keep them. I'll put them in good use. So if you have batteries that you're not using, we can have them. Because right now we have a big challenge of batteries. Sometimes you have the challenge of importing and things get delayed before they get, and you had promised a customer in this time the wheelchair will be ready. So that are kind of the challenges we have with shipping companies. Again, like the products we make, the wheelchairs we make, we don't have a designated place for them to be ridden on the highways. That is the main challenge with users now. That is a complaint from users. We don't have a designated place for wheelchair users in our roads. I think the government should leave a designated place for bicycles and other small vehicles like wheelchairs, because it's not safe for you to use a wheelchair on the highways. So if we had a safer place, a designated place for the wheelchairs, it would be safe for the user and for other road users. I think in the society, people with disability don't get the attention they require. Like this issue of being neglected by public transport, and for those who care for them in public transport, because there are those people who care for them, the vehicles are not designed to accommodate them. When I create a solution that is making their mobility easy for them, it helps them become independent, help them make their day-to-day, as in it helps them become independent. And when you become independent, you are able to get an income. I have some customers who use the wheelchairs to do some hawkings in town, like selling sweets. Like I would say, there's a lady in a place called Kiaba who is using the wheelchair to sell some peanuts and other small stuff. In fact, she converted the wheelchair to be a shop. We have 3 types of wheelchairs. We have the foldable wheelchair. That one goes for 80,000. We have an off-road. We have 2 different types of off-road wheelchairs. One with a single motor, that one goes for 90,000. And we have now the strong version that has 2 motors, meant for going uphill. That one goes for 110,000. So those are the products we have. Oh, and I forgot about the scooters. We have scooters as low as from 25,000. One thing we had to consider when I was designing the wheelchairs, I had to make them affordable to beat the imported ones. I think as for now, the cheapest wheelchair you can get, an imported wheelchair, the cheapest you can get is 130,000, and mine is 80,000. So I think there's a great difference. But what we're offering is a solution. The imported wheelchairs are not meant for Kenyan roads. We have bad roads. But the wheelchairs we design are meant for off-road capability. They have shock absorbers to make the roughest terrain so smooth. And for those people who can't afford, because I understand most people with disability are associated with poverty, of which sometimes is not the correct thing to say. But we have, like for me, most people who buy wheelchairs from me, they rely on the society to do a contribution and buy a wheelchair for them. In my case, like for instance, if someone is being donated, people are donating for someone to buy a wheelchair, there's a percentage I give, a discount I give for people who are doing a contribution for a wheelchair. But for those people who can afford a wheelchair, I actually don't support them, because we have people who actually need that support who can't afford that wheelchair at all. Yeah. There's a program that we want to start where a customer can purchase a wheelchair in hire purchase. You pay in bits. Right. That will make the wheelchair more affordable, because according to the feedback I get from the society, we have people who can't be able to afford that 80,000 at once. But if you ask them to be paying like 100 bob daily, that one they can afford. When you get a wheelchair, you are able to work, and when you're able to work, you can be able to to pay that balance you of the wheelchair. So we want to introduce that system where people can pay the wheelchair in bits.
Thanks to technology, he is grateful to social media for the role it plays in promoting his business.
I don't have a marketing team. I rely on social media and referrals from people who've been using the wheelchairs, because I believe every wheelchair that I build will perform like I promised. And if the wheelchair perform, I know the customer who uses it will give referrals, good referrals. That's how we've been surviving. My greatest achievement is seeing a product that I designed solving a problem of mobility in Africa. Secondly, creating employment. I told you there was a time I was looking for employment, it was hard for me. So when I have a team of people that are relying on this company, it makes me feel like part of my dreams are being achieved.
Though he uses junk materials, there are those that he must import.
There are some parts I import, like the speed controllers, because it's easy to import than to make and to manufacture them locally. In fact, we didn't have the facility that could be able to manufacture electronics, but at least now we do. But the capability for them to manufacture is beyond what we need. So right now it's still importing, but in future we want to be supporting local manufacturing factories and local youth to grow.
Lincoln also gives back to society, especially to persons living with disabilities.
We actually visit the less fortunate who are disabled. We love visiting them. And sometimes we even donate wheelchairs to those who can't afford at all. Yeah. Again, through social media, we've been able to reach out to even people who are abroad who buy wheelchairs for our local people here. So mobility, I would say mobility is the thing that we want to solve for people living with disabilities.
Due to his love for the environment, Lincoln's workshop is solar powered.
Due to my love for green energy, we even made sure that our workshop is fully powered by solar panels. We make sure everything we build is powered by batteries. Our wheelchairs are built using solar power energy because we run the workshop using solar panels. So we love this. We love solving the environment and not polluting it. And I wish most people could start using electric mobility, because you understand right now we've been having a lot of pollutions. People are buying vehicles and the vehicles are polluting the environment. We have a solution. We have scooters. You can use a scooter to ride to your workplace instead of using a vehicle. It will decongest the cities, cause zero pollution, and almost zero maintenance.
He is lucky to have received financial grants that aided his work.
I think the only thing that I've ever received was a grant. It's from UK Aid through a program called AT 2030, Assistive Technology 2030. I won the grant because of the wheelchair I designed and built. The rest I've been receiving through services I offer and selling the wheelchairs. Although what we make from selling the wheelchairs is not enough for us, because we are dealing with someone who we don't want to sell our products that expensive so that people can be able to afford them. So the revenue we make from selling the wheelchair is not enough to sustain us. And that's why we even designed scooters and other products that are using batteries.
Lincoln gives a thumbs up to CBC, the new curriculum, for the mere fact that it supports skills and talent.
For instance, in my case, I might be talented, but if I were to look for a job in a company without papers, I wouldn't get employment. So I think the way the government has turned this into supporting talents from that young age, that was a good move. The CBCs will do a good job. Uh, there are people who are talented in doing other things than in the books. So they at least they will get the support they need. So it was a good move for the government to accept the new curriculum now.
His message to young people, therefore, is to capitalize on their ideas.
To my fellow youth, if you have an idea or a solution you would like to solve, get the right channel, get the right resources, give it time. Sometimes the financial support is what we lack. Give it enough time. Like if you know how much it will cost you, you can save for it, because sometimes getting the financial to support those projects is the biggest challenge. Like for me, I received that. I got that challenge too. Give it time, get enough resources, and work on it. And I swear at some point it will give you a good feedback, because I've come to understand Africans love things designed and created in Africa, because it was created by someone who understands the problem better than anyone else.